Action. Hello, dolly friends and doll enthusiasts. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mayra Galland. I am a doll artist. I'm a Blythe customizer and a collector, and I like taking photos of my dolls. I'm making this video to show you the process of how I take my doll photos. I know everybody does things differently, but I do have people asking me questions all the time. So I hope that this can help some of you improve your doll photography. Now, a little bit about me. I have been customizing Blythes since 2015. And I think that from the very beginning, what drew me to doll collecting was the doll photography part. So in this video, I'm going to show you what I use. And so it's going to be geared towards DSLR camera. Now, cameras with interchangeable lenses, because that's what I use. Now, if you use a phone or a tablet, I think that you can still improve your doll photography game with some of the parts in this video. So some people have asked me, where do you get your ideas for photos? And I understand that because you run out of ideas. But for me personally, I like staying challenged. So I do join online groups like on Flickr where we do the Blythe a Day monthly challenges. And so that just kind of keeps me engaged. So I'm going to be doing a photo today. The theme is veterinarian Blythe. And then I'm going to show you a little bit of how I process those and enhance those images on Photoshop. Now, if you do use a phone and a tablet, again, that's okay. But if you're curious about cameras and you're like, oh, I have my dolls, but I've been wanting to take nicer photos, I encourage you to look secondhand stuff and secondhand equipment, because you can find very inexpensive cameras. If you do have a camera, remember that the lenses are kind of like the important thing. So I do shoot most of my doll photos with this baby. This is a 50mm. So my camera is a Canon 60D, but you can honestly find Canon Rebels for even under $100. You get a nice lens. Now, this is a Canon 50mm, but they have an off-brand 50mm on Amazon for like $50 or $60. So I do love that lens. It's a prime lens. It doesn't have a zoom. So what you see is what you shoot at that distance. So let's get started. I love using this cart because, as you know, sometimes you're taking a bunch of dolls with a bunch of props and furniture from one place to another. And what I like about it is that since it's metal, I use these magnetic containers to keep all tiny things like their hands, rubber bands that I use to put stuff in their hands and pose their hands. And really, you can carry all kinds of tiny accessories. Other things that I keep here, it's water. Sometimes hair is not cooperating, and bamboo sticks. I've taken photos of my dolls standing on one leg, and really all I do is I use two bamboo sticks to help them balance. So don't hold back on your creativity. We're going to learn how to remove all that on Photoshop. Some people may say that is cheating. Maybe it is, but the way that I see it is just like retouching my own piece of artwork. I've used wire to make it appear like something is moving or up in the air, and even fishing line. And when I do stuff like that, I do make my kids work and help me. Things that I always have in this cart as well: Blythe height tripod and reflector. If you don't have room for a cart or it's too much, I highly recommend getting just a simple basket. Choosing outfits is one of my favorite parts of the process of taking doll photos. And because we're doing a veterinarian, we obviously need a veterinarian coat with a little badge. The other fun part about doll photography is the props. So I collect miniatures, and people always ask me, where do you get all your props? And my answer is always everywhere. I use stuff from keychains. This is a keychain, believe it or not. This is a pencil sharpener. I have a 3D printer, so I make a lot of my stuff. I made these pencils from toothpicks and also this chalk. Some of my favorite props come from the mini brands surprise toys. Those are perfect for Blythe. If you don't know or you're wondering, the scale for Blythe is 1:6. I'll be honest, I'm a big fan of natural light. So windows are great, but outdoor photos are my favorite. Let me show you. So I do choose a bright window to take my photos because, again, I do love natural light. Balancing the dolls is the fun part because of their fun big heads. And I do use sticky putty for just about everything. You can find it at the craft store in the frame section. They use it to put stuff on the walls, and I even use it so the bamboo sticks don't slide if I'm taking the photo inside. Outside is easier, you just stick it on the ground, but that's what I do. I decided to make the picture a bit more interesting, so I added a few more animals, and Lucy's bringing all of her zoo to the vet. So I'm all about the details. We have a little parrot on top of her headband that I use sticky putty for. In post-processing, we're going to focus on making the bamboo stick and the sticky putty disappear. So I must mention I do take my photos manually. So that means that I control the shutter speed, the aperture, and the ISO. I don't really have a lot of time to get into detail. It's very easy. You can find a tutorial or even charts on how these three numbers work together. The shutter speed basically controls how fast the lens takes the photo. The aperture is how much light the lens lets in. If this number is at 1.4, I'm gonna have a very bright photo, but it also means that my depth of field is going to be more narrow. So I'm going to get maybe one eye within focus and everything else blurry. So that controls the bokeh or the blurry background. And the ISO, all it does is it controls the brightness. I'm probably going to need a reflector for this photo. And so the way that I do it is I just prop it on the side that is darker to kind of even out the light. I also like using manual focus, which means I decide what the lens is going to focus on. So I'm going to take the photo, but the reason why I have it on a tripod and I don't always have the camera on a tripod is because it's getting darker. And so I'm going to have to do a long exposure, which means I want to keep my camera very, very stabilized. That way my photo is not blurry. So I'm going to do the 2-second timer so I don't shake the camera when I take the photo. And let's see what we got. Now, I do take several photos sometimes, but I think that this is going to be a keeper. Another thing I wanted to mention is I do shoot my images raw. That is a setting in your camera, and what that means is that the images will not be JPG files. They will only be files that can be opened with a program like Photoshop or something else. And what this means is that the photo contains all the information in the image, and it's way easier to modify things like specific color, highlights, shadows, and everything without making it look like overly processed. All right, so I have both the files here, the JPG, which you can open in a regular computer, and the raw file, which we're gonna be opening on Photoshop. If you shoot your regular JPG files, it's okay. You can still make modifications. It just means that your options are a little bit more limited. This is Photoshop's raw file window, and all the options are right here on the right. And what I really like about this is that you can manipulate individual colors. Like I can turn all the greens and pinks down and you can see what it does. And up here you have everything from your shadows, your highlights. I really like turning the whites up, brightens the pictures, and you can even manipulate the temperature of the photo. So you have a little bit more possibilities when you have this program. I do turn the oranges down a little bit because sometimes, you know, the doll's faces look really intense when you turn the saturation up. The sharpening is pretty self-explanatory. It helps your photo be a little bit more crispy and clear, and the luminance basically smooths out your image if you want to remove any noise. Now I open the image in normal Photoshop. This is the part that you use if you don't shoot raw. And you still have possibilities right up here. You can modify shadows, highlights. It's just more limited in terms of quality of the image. Now, one of my favorite features here, we're gonna sharpen the image by duplicating the layer right here and then choosing a hard light filter. It's gonna look funky at first, but then we're gonna go up here to filter other high pass. And you can turn this up and down. I like keeping it under 1.5 to not make the image too noisy. But what this does is it really sharpens your image. And this is one of my favorite Photoshop tricks. You accept that, flatten the image, and now we do our last and another one of my favorite tricks, which is using the stamp clone tool. Once we select that, we can decide what size we want the stamp tool to be and the sharpness of the edges as well. You don't want it too sharp because you don't want to have basically patches of circles on the image where you patched that. I'm going to select an area close enough to what I want to remove right here. And I click the Option key in my keyboard, which is a Mac, but yours might be different, so you might want to look it up. I click that at the same time that you select the area, and then you basically drag that area and you stamp it over what you want to remove. And sometimes you have to reselect another different area close to it. Press Option, select the area that you want to copy, and then you basically drag it. For smaller areas, you just go and change the size of the stamp, zoom in, and sometimes you also change the sharpness if it's close to the edges, like in this case, the fingers. And just keep going until you're happy with it. And I'm gonna do the same for this sticky putty up here. I did try to hide as much as I could, so if in your original photo you are able to hide the bamboo sticks or the sticky putty, that's even better. But this is just for emergency cases, like something is showing. Disclaimer, I do not modify any other things on my doll photos, especially the dolls that I sell, because I obviously want to portray them as real and authentic as they are with their flaws and imperfections. But for stuff like this, the stamp tool is really fun, and if you want to do more research about it or watch more tutorials, you can easily find them on YouTube. And that's it. I think we're done. I'm going to be removing this thing in the background just because it annoys me, and I'm going to crop the image, save it, and share it for you all to enjoy it. So I hope that this was helpful. And as you can see, there is a bit of a process and a learning curve in doll photography, but I promise you, you do get better and faster at it. The most important thing is that you're having fun. And in the end, the results are very rewarding. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to see some more of my work, you can follow me on Facebook, Flickr, Instagram, or if you have any questions, you can just shoot me an email. I would love to hear from you.